On behalf of the club, we have got a statement to make this week. To whom with the wettest hair it may concern. On behalf of the club, franchise and city, I feel it is necessary for me to make a public apology to Hot Boy Hynes. The fact that I question the abilities of a man with such wet and luscious hair has not only shamed, but truly embarrassed the club and my family. There is a lesson that I have learnt this week, and I will be doing everything in my power to turn this experience into a positive one for all involved. No one has been hurt more this week than I. Maybe only second to the Dragons and Anthony Griffin. As a SuperCoach team, we will be working in unity to bring pride back to the ironically named Blurst of Hynes squad this week and into the future. We have built a strong culture, but this week we dropped the ball, and that is on me and me alone. We apologise to Nicho, his family, the Cronulla Sharks, and all of our sponsors and partners here at the club. The club will be making no further comments on the situation, and we wish Nicho, his luscious wet locks, his baby cows, all the best for the remainder of the season. Licks taken. Guru, coach of the Blurst of Hynes. Tough week, Timmy.
I'll tell you what, Guru, I thought that flu pod last week could have been the defining moment of your
I was confident it was going to be.
Today. And I think you may have just topped it because in the face of adversity, you've copped it on the chin. And it's some of your finest effort. I even saw a tear shed during that. So, mate, we get things wrong, and sometimes all you can do is just cop it on the chin.
Spent a lot of time looking in the mirror this week. It's a very disappointing mirror, may I add. But, yeah, tough trot this week.
Yes.
And you know what? I think there's a fair argument that us non-Nicho Hynes owners got very lucky too. He could have scored 1,000.
There was Teague Wilton only had to give it back inside to him for a try, and then Hamanuele dropped the ball over the line. It could have been comfortably over 200.
Yeah.
The only saving grace. I tell you, it's the second podcast I've been on in about 12 hours, and 4 people on the trot, no Nicho Hynes owners. So for what that's worth, actually, you throw Matey the water boy in there as well. That's 5. We're not alone, mate.
Yeah.
It was a tough Sunday night.
Anyway, we'll get to Wishbraid and Trindle very soon. But let's have a look at our scores from this week. In what was a very, very tough week. Well, for me, it was a pretty tough week for both of us. Very hungover from Gilligan's on Saturday night into the Nicho Hynes fucking spit roast. It was...
into the Raiders getting spit roasted by the Knights.
Thoroughly enjoyed that, but that's fine.
You had a tough Sunday, mate.
It was a tough week, but I managed to score 1,120 without Nicho. I'll take that. What'd you score?
I was 1,094. Really happy with my score for the week up until Sunday at 6 o'clock. So, mate, I believe...
I don't deserve it.
Just let me get the dust off it, mate. It's been here for a while.
Make sure you dust off my name there too on it. Welcome home.
Yeah, feel good?
Oh, mate, feels amazing after this week. My mother rang me on Sunday and abused me for not having Nicho Hynes. It was brutal. I've never been called so many names. Very, very tough.
No Nicho, and dropped 1,000 spots. I was like, oh, take that. I was panic stations Monday morning.
Yeah, I had no Nicho and I went up 12,000. So that shows how much I was fucking battling before that. So who's the real winner, guys? I'm terrified to think if I had Nicho and if I would have captained him, which I didn't have the balls to get him, nor did I have the balls to captain him, where I would be. But you gotta take the L's sometimes, don't you?
On the Playbook podcast last night, the Spy had a terrific stat around looking into the week prior. He'd spoken about his reservations on Harry Grant and how he wanted Hynes and was going to captain Hynes, and being the little cat that he is, he backflipped, got Grant in instead and skippered him. He said, had he have gone with the original plan, it was like a 30,000 position swing. Yeah, right. So for anyone panicking out there, that is how easily it can change.
I guess for some blokes, just being a coward's in their blood. And I mean, mate, I guess shout out to all the Nicho Hynes buyers. More so captains. Congratulations to you.
Oath.
Paid off. Well, full fucking credit to you. I did my best to put witchcraft over you and scare you off. Didn't work, evidently. I mean, he didn't play 80, but that's fine. I'm going to run home with that. What about that missed tackle on Ben Hunt,
Called it.
Yeah, Braden Trindle wouldn't have missed that tackle, please.
You're right there, mate. Like, cop out our licks for not owning him, but credit to anyone who did jump on because, there was reasons that we obviously spoke about, mainly just coming back from injury and the bye coming up to stay away, but people took the gamble and that's what SuperCoach is all about, mate. It's taking these big risks and that one paid off big time.
For sure. Now, in the face of Nicho Hynes' gate on the weekend, 180 gate, obviously put up on Instagram for the best sledge to come my way. And tell you what, my psychiatrist has got a workout over the last few days, Timmy. Good God, you hit me with some fucking good ones. So we have got 2 prizes to hand out. Obviously, all the weekly winners get a Beers and Breakevens football. Person with the best sledge today takes home one of these and a limited edition one, a Guru football, Steeden. Very old school there. Wasn't planning on selling these, but got to take your licks when they come. So the best sledge is going to come home with those 2 prizes. Timmy's got 3 for us. And then you guys are going to vote in the comments, A, B, or C. The A, B, or C, the one with the most comments on this YouTube. If you're on social media, come to the YouTube, comment, takes home the 2 footballs. T-Rex, you want to take us away?
Well, mate, the first one from Danagram. I'll start by saying that there are a lot of really good ones, but were just a little bit too rogue. God, I'd love to read them out, but so some crackers there. So if you think you've absolutely nailed it and it was ruthless, you're a hard cull. Danagram, if Rugby League Guru put in as much time into drooling over his boy Hopgood as he did knowing SuperCoach instead of just copying SC playbook Timmy Williams, the bloke could be absolutely anything.
Very nice. Hits me on a few fronts there.
Yeah, there's a few
that was good. I don't know what hurt me the most, but it stings.
Yeah, I really like that. So that was option A. Option B from the short ball. Timmy Williams got to be feeling a bit like Ben Hunt at the moment on the Beers and Breakevens panel. Mate, you reckon you're doing tough? The Dragons.
Jeez, you've certainly given yourself a pat on the back in the first 2, haven't you? Good God,
mate. I've actually got options down to Z.
I thought it was my roast, not the pat on the back of Timmy Williams. Not bad.
They are.
What does that mean, Moses and By?
Moses and By. The real Hughes. Now this one's a bit poetic. The real Rugby League Guru was oh so smug, but in SuperCoach he was a total mug. His team was picked with such great care, but it turned out to be a complete nightmare. He thought Nicho Hynes was not the key, but how wrong the Guru could be. For Hynes proved to be a true sensation and left the Guru in utter frustration. The Guru thought he knew all the tricks, but the Nicho showed he was full of shit. Now the Guru's left feeling oh so small, while Captain Nicho is standing oh so tall. Take these licks as a lesson learned and always remember that even the experts get burned. In this game called SuperCoach, there is but one guarantee. Captain Nicho will continue to bring the Guru to his knees.
If that doesn't win, I'm not fucking here.
Yeah, it's pretty bloody good, wasn't it?
That's a huge
Option
knock.
C.
Option C, I'll back that. So guys, leave in the comments option A, B, or C. Type it in the comments. Let us know. If you are on social media, come to the YouTube. And I think you've got a couple of close calls there. And as Timmy said before, there were a few that were absolute crackers that broke me. But we probably just couldn't say them online. But there was some crackers out there. So shout out to you.
Yeah, so there were 2 that I really enjoyed, but they weren't probably sledges to Guru, so I had to hold off. Maxi Linden, not buying Nicho Hynes this week is like being Cameron Murray's brother and thinking your missus won't leave you for him. Ross Johnson, Chuck Norris wets his hair so he can look more like Nicho Hynes.
That's a good one, eh?
One from Kobe. Guru's SuperCoach advice about as useful as an ashtray on a motorcycle. Ripper. And then Anthony Zana. G'day, guys. Welcome back to the Beers and Breakevens podcast. I'm your host, Matty the Waterboy.
Oh, I'll tell you what, those are the ones that hurt the most.
Yeah.
Even when I put out questions the other day, when's Matty coming on the podcast? I was going to talk about it later, but shout out to the one guy who, when I put out the questions, all he did was put a picture in the question box of Nicho Hynes highlighted yellow with the captain on him. That one really hit me hard late last night. Yeah, so credit to you. You got to take your licks. Very well done, and vote in the comments, and those 2 footies will be coming your way. We have also got our weekly winner from last week as I get it up, and they are all being sent out today. I've got a heap of post-mail bags over there. Tim, is there any worse place in the world to go to than a post office just quietly?
Oh, never been, mate, actually.
I know Canberra's tough, but the post office, brutal. Went there the other day.
I just send the old girl if everything ever needs posting.
Things that don't shock me in the fucking slightest right there. All right, let's have a look at the scores from the weekend. So, the winner this week was Wayne. How about them cows? He scored 1,498.
That makes me sick.
And he didn't captain Nicho.
Yeah.
I assume he did.
Yeah. That makes me crook.
Yeah, that's a tough gig. And shout out to the weekend warrior, Jeremy in our comp, who he scored 1,492. So 2 guys that almost got right into that top echelon, which is a good knock. Let's have a look at overall ranks as it stands right now. Computer shit itself. Computer's still shitting itself. There we go. Okay. The Wagga Maniacs, Jay, still takes the lead. He's coming second overall. Great knock. Then we've got the Western Redheads, Brenton, who's coming 6th overall, and Chadwick running riot in 10th place. And he's actually drawn with This Ain't Cricket. So we've got 4 of the top 10 in our group at the moment after round 4.
Could it be Sir Chadwick, Chad Townsend playing
I think
along?
there's the potential that it could be Sir Chadwick, quite possibly. So obviously, guys, we have got a $5,000 cash prize for the winner of this comp. The code 353745. We're not going to put it on the screen for you anymore. It takes up too much space. You got the idea. You know where it is. And if you're not in it by now, you might be stupider than me not getting Nicho Hynes last week. So wear that. 353745. Make sure you're in that comp. And as it stands right now, if Jay was to finish second overall, he'd get the $5,000 from SuperCoach. He'd get the $5,000 from Beers and Breakevens. And I reckon by the look of his club emblem there, he might be a Sharkies fan potentially. So he'd be collecting another $500 from the great Tony Hyack from Blue Wealth Property.
Yeah, if he's a club member.
If you're not a club member, get on it.
This stallion, that'd be worth another 5K, wouldn't it?
And the rest. Please. So, congratulations to Jay, our overall leader. And Wayne, if you can send us an email to beersandbreakevens@gmail.com, I'll be sending them out over the next week or so. But all the winners over the last few weeks will be coming your way over the next few days, sending them out today. So, very exciting. All right. I guess the main question I got all week was about Nicho Hynes, mate. Neither of us own him. The entire panel of Playbook Guru, Beers and Breakevens, no one has him at the moment. You buying him this week? What's the thought process?
No at this stage, and pretty straightforward in the sense that the Sharkies have the bye next week. So it's, certainly not confident on it. But at this stage, I'm just thinking I'm going to go with Ruben Garrick as another really high ceiling player who I think has been unreal. I'm sort of hoping that, I know last week a lot of people's plans was to get Ruben Garrick in next week, as in this week, being round 5. They're now jumping ship to Nicho Hynes, who knows what the Warriors will throw up. I hope they throw up what they've done the last few weeks. There's every chance I don't watch that game of footy because it's just going to make me crook again. Anything less than probably 120 I'd take from Nicho at the bye, obviously the following week. So I'm going to, at this stage, lock in Ruben Garrick. I'm still considering Nicho this week, but I think that'll be my play. And yeah, that's where we're at the moment. My last week's 5-week plan to get in Nicho Hynes has been fast-tracked to a 4-week plan, and he will be coming in immediately after the Sharks bye. Yeah, I'm exactly the same. He'll be coming in after the bye for me. I will say this, and I'll be completely honest with you. I think that the longer this week goes on, more appealing Nicho will get, though. The more butterflies in the tummy. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do it. At the moment, I'm bringing in Garrick and Schuster. I assume you're the same? Yes. Yeah. Yep. So, but yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. If I get here next Monday, Wednesday, whatever day it is, and have got Nicho, I won't be overly shocked because I am terrified not to have him. Yeah. I really am. But the buy and everything, I think I am just going to try my very best to stick to the plan, bring in Garrick. It's almost like stubbornness. I'm just like, I do think Manly, and particularly the left edge of Manly in Schuster, Tommy Turbo, Ruben Garrick can do a number on the nights out in Mudgee. Yep. And I'm just backing Garrick to go big, so I'm hoping he can pull back a few numbers. Lost last week on Hynes. The other thing is, and we'll obviously get to captains later, but I think if you bring in Hynes, you have to skipper him after what he did last week. Yep. So I just see great opportunity for Tommy Turbo there. So I'm hoping off the back of that can reel in a few. I've liked what the Warriors have shown so far this year too. Yeah, they've been good. I'm hoping that they can perform. I was going through some stats the other day, and when you have a look at the competition so far this year, like, we're not having that many blowout games. In fact, there's been 7 13-plus victories so far this season. 4 of those 7 have been victories by 14, so 1 point over a 13-plus victory.
Round 4 last year, 7 of the 8 games were 13-plus victories, which is wild. And at the end of round 4 last season, we had 16 13-plus victories. So more than double. And I think it was only 3 of those 16 were 14-point victories. So we're not getting the blowouts that we've got over the last few years. And I know that's easy to say after Nicho absolutely goes berserk and blows out the Dragons, but I think it is a little bit of a closer comp, and I think that people, if you didn't go with Nicho, it sucks. We've lost points. It's fucking awful. It also sucks that captains this week didn't do overly well. It's awful. I get it, but I don't think go to water and panic stations just yet.
Yeah, I mean, let's be fair. The Dragons threw up very little in that game. They were just toying with them. It was, again, made it a particularly hard watch. The Warriors, in the same sense, they've been great this year, but, man, we've been burnt by the Warriors in the past a few times, and it's been a long history of seeing them get up for a few rounds in a row and then just going back to where they come from, not where they came from, but and having a few tough rounds in a row and having a blowout scoreline. So I'm not convinced that they will get up for it. However, on what we've seen so far this season, they've been great. Yeah. They've been resilient. They've had injuries during games. God, I hope Tohu Harris plays.
Yeah.
So, yeah, mate, I said it. No Nicho for me at this stage. Could change, but I'm pretty firmly in camp Ruben Garrick because he scored 71 last week, and I felt like he did nothing, and I think he had 3 line breaks just out of in a really tough contest against the Bunnies. So I'd like Garrick a lot. And
I don't know about you, but I've got the money and everything to be able to bring Nicho Hynes in right now. I could do it this week if I wanted to. I could do it this week, yeah. So, I mean, I guess the other question is, mate, for those that maybe aren't in that much of a good position to be able to bring him in this week if they want, do they just need to pull their team, well, not pull their team up, but do whatever it takes to bring him in after the bye? You're crazy not to have him straight after the bye?
Yeah, absolutely you are. And the draw gets a little bit tougher after it, but it doesn't matter. You need to get to Nicho and Cleary as quick as you can. Essentially, I think no later than after the bye. Maybe you can go a little bit later with Cleary, but even Cleary against the Raiders this week, who haven't been great. Jackie Whiten's out now. Cleary will bottom out in price. He may have already bottomed out because his break-even's about 112. So if he 114, he could hit that this week, and he's bottomed out in price. So I'd be just looking to get that Hynes-Cleary combo ASAP.
I was joking the other day when I said it, but I don't know how much I was joking. Nicho Hynes might be a cash cow.
Yeah, so good.
It's fucked. It's insane. Imagine if he actually would have got all the points that he deserved in that game.
Yeah. It was frightening.
It's terrifying. Terrifying stuff. All right, anything else on Nicho, mate? Voldemort?
Absolutely nothing more on Nicho Hynes, mate.
Nothing, yeah. I'm done with him too.
Yeah, that was a tough opening.
Shout out to Nicho. Well done to you, mate. Champion effort.
Thank God he's a legend.
If he was a shit bloke, got to be tough to swallow.
If he was a shit bloke, there wouldn't have been an apology from you either.
No. Although I'm a whore for the content. All right, let's get into our team list for this week. Thursday, we've got the Roosters taking on the Eels from Allianz Stadium at 8 p.m. For the Chooks, Joey Manu out. Not a heap to touch on here. There are a couple of really good players on their extended. Pauga, who's on their extended, who's been playing for the Bears last few weeks. I really like the look of him. Wong. The other one is Eli El-Zakim, who's come over from the Parramatta Eels last year, played for Lebanon in the World Cup. He could be a little smoky for an edge spot, potentially, over the next few weeks. I'll keep an eye on him. Angus also back at training, which is fucking unreal to see. Yep.
Oh, I missed that. That's great.
It's good to see. Yep, fantastic. So very good for Angus. What I will say, their bench is rank. Turpin, White, Allen, and Ben Thomas.
And Fletcher Baker?
Is he there?
He's on scplaybook.com.au, so I hope we got it right.
Regardless.
Yeah.
I don't mind it for your Cheese and those sort of guys. That's good.
Yeah.
For Parra, Junior Paul out. Brendan Hands comes in. I think we've got a question on him later, but looked very good the other day. I think he's played about 50. No, I think he played 30 minutes, scored 50 points, had a try in there, obviously. I was having a look through some of his cup stats and whatnot. He's obviously played a lot of 5'8" coming through, played a little bit of hooker. When he plays 80 minutes, he's scoring about 55, 60 SuperCoach points in New South Wales Cup. So I understand the appeal, but there's a lot of us that have got Sonny Luke sitting there. I think I'd rather stick with Luke for now anyway.
Oh, for sure. Like, there's not a chance in the world I'll be going early on him. I think, particularly for non-Nicho owners, quite a popular trade next week to free up the cash to get him will be either Wade Egan or Reid Marnie to probably Sonny Luke, who unfortunately misses this week with not unfortunately for non-owners in Supercoach, because I still think he's going to be a great buy either next week or the week after. A slower burn than anticipated. Cannot take a trick, the poor bugger, this season, but I'm with you. I think at 50 odd K more, Sonny Luke will be a better buy. If Hynes comes out and does it again, he'll be an option. It's just 33 minutes. Josh Hodgson's there. I don't think he's going to walk into big minutes anytime soon. So he had to score a try for that 56. So definitely not this week anyway.
Completely agree. Okay, Friday 6 p.m. we've got the Raiders and the Panthers. The Raiders with Jackie Boy White now. Fogarty does return. Penrith, Luke Garner out with niggles. Interesting one there.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for the playing, was it 23 minutes on the weekend?
Yep.
Sitting there watching and just going like, I didn't think he'd done much wrong. Even like Supercoach tries, whatever, so be it. I didn't think he'd done a lot wrong. So to play 23 minutes, that would explain a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Going to be tough for him to let other guys have opportunities there, though.
Hosking isn't going anywhere fast, put it that way.
Yeah. Sonny Luke also out of this one. Obviously, the 11-day stand down from his HIA the other night. No Liam Martin as well. Not that it really impacts Supercoach, but I was told last week, when I was first told Liam Martin was going to be out, I was told that if Zach Hosking played well, they would rest Liam Martin for as long as they could. So you might not see him for another week or two. It's a hamstring. He's got an Origin series coming up. So Hosking on one edge, Sorensen on the other side. What do you reckon is going to happen here? If you get out your crystal ball, 3-4 weeks' time, who's on the left edge, who's on the right edge? I think it'll be Hosking right. I think it'll be Liam Martin left eventually. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. Probably as soon as next week, to be fair. I suppose, and we'll get more into Hosking later, but if we're talking about that now, I think people are pretty keen on him this week. I'm certainly more keen on him next week. Just want to see it unfold again. But, let's say it does land like that and Luke Garner lands on the bench, say, for Jamin Salmon. Even if it's Salmon there, I suppose. We saw Salmon come on and play 20, 25, or even more minutes for Garner there. Is there a risk that, Liam Martin comes back and as an 80-minute man and Hosking plays 55, 60?
Potentially. Yeah, quite possibly. And this is where you always just want to wait until we've got a better idea.
Yeah, and we might not get the full gauge on that because those blokes are out, and obviously the first prize rise will come in round 6. That being said, if he can score well again this week, even if he does only play 50 or 60 minutes the week after, he's going to make good cash. And, all right, he might not be I think potential keepers may be a stretch at this point, but, going to make a ton of money. At least he'll make his money and we can not play him whatever when he peaks.
Yeah, completely agree. All right, the other one, Penrith, doesn't really impact Supercoach too much, but geez, it'd be good to see Tyrone Peachey back in a Panthers jersey.
It will.
It's been a while.
I hope he kills it as well.
So do I. Yeah, there's a few. There's him. There's Josh Reynolds. There's a few guys I'm excited to see run out this weekend. All right, 8 p.m. from Suncorp. Nope, that's from last week. 8 p.m. from out at Homebush. We've got the Bunnies taking on the Melbourne Storm. Harm Saleh, he returns. I was told yesterday, I don't know how true the mail is, but it kind of would make sense that Isaac Thompson's carrying a pretty bad foot injury.
That would make sense. His base is really poor.
Really low, yeah. I think there's it was hilarious. The guy that told me this, it was the most perfect comment of all time. He said, Isaac Thompson carrying a foot injury, might miss this week. Tane Milne might come in, but he's got to fight a charge from New South Wales Cup last week. I thought, of course he does.
Oh, jeez.
Of course Tane has to fight a charge from New South Wales Cup this weekend.
Right. Interesting on Thompson.
Yeah, so I'm trading him up to Ruben Garrick this week anyway, so it didn't worry me. Okay. But, for everyone out there that still has Isaac Thompson, just wanted to keep an eye on there. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. Just what I've been told. So do with that what you will.
You're good with your injury
but it makes sense.
Mate.
Hey, broke the Nicho one originally. Didn't get it right the entire time. Don't you fucking start. Good God. All right, Melbourne Storm. Got Liam Martin too, but that's fine. Melbourne Storm. Not really much to touch on here. Extended bench. You got Howarth. You got Jennings there. Two guys that could become interesting at some point this year. Good to see Jennings back on that extended as well. He's played cup the last few weeks, so fingers crossed.
All I care about is that Will Warbrick has been named again.
Been named, yeah. But Jennings one to keep an eye on there just quietly. Did you see the Melbourne Storm after their game doing their victory song?
Negative.
Yeah, the whole entire franchise singing out 35 people smiling. The 36 was Craig Bellamy. Looked like he was at a fucking funeral. Not happy. Last thing he wanted to do was sing a song.
Surprised they did it.
Yeah, well, it's worth going to have a look. If you go on the Melbourne Storm social media, go and have a look and just keep your eye out for Craig Bellamy. You'll see him. It's like weekend at Bernie's. All right, Manly versus Knights coming to us from Mudgee. For the Manly Seagulls, Kohler out. Morgan Harper comes in. No other big changes there for Newcastle Knights. Kurt Mann out. Jack Johns into the 13. Anything to touch on from this game for you, mate?
Nah, nothing there, mate.
All right, 5:30. Saturday from WIN Stadium, we've got the Dragons taking on the Dolphins for the Dragons. Nothing huge to touch on here outside of Jack DeBellin. He's been named on the extended. You would have to think if he's fit, he does come in, which would have a domino effect. I believe he probably plays 13, which probably puts Jack Bird out to the edge, which probably pushes Ben Murdoch-Masila to the bench.
Yeah,
so
I think you're right, mate.
You might even see Ben Murdoch-Masila score 14 instead of 16 this week. For the Dolphins, Isaiah Katoa, he is coming back into the 6 jersey. I believe he'll play halfback. Jack Bostock, how fucking good. So happy to see him get a shot in first grade. The beauty of it, he's a Dragons junior going back to WIN Stadium. He's an Illawarra boy. So played for the Steelers coming through, which is unreal. Very excited for him. SASA comes into the starting team. Sean O'Sullivan out. Tessie New out. Anything here for you?
Nothing significant. I suppose Isaiah Katoa worth another look, just that he'll likely play a more dominant role now with SOS out. So certainly a hold for me at the moment. I think there's more money to be eked out of Katoa. Might be a slowish burn, but I think he's got a 70 to 80 game in him in the next 2 to 3 weeks and can look to make moves. At the moment, Schuster will be coming in the back row for me.
Yep.
So I'm hoping Katoa can eke a bit more money out of him, then switch Schuster down to 5'8" and Katoa out in, maybe 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, and I think that Isaiah Katoa as well, even if he doesn't score that many points, I think for the next few weeks when everyone's trying to get Cleary, Hynes, Schuster, having that duel is worthwhile.
Very handy, yeah.
Very handy. I know that I wouldn't have been able to make the moves I wanted to, or I know that I wouldn't be able to get Nicho in 3 weeks if I didn't have Isaiah. Yep. So it helps heaps. Love that. The other one to mention there is Jeremy Marshall-King, not overly Supercoach relevant. He comes back into this side, definitely helps them. The late game, Broncos v Tigers from Brisbane, Vegas, 7:35 game of the week. Brisbane 1-17. West Tigers, Bateman has been named. Dewey has been named at 1. 2 guys under injury clouds and whatnot. Simpkins on the bench with Stafford Toa. Like that for Stefano.
Great for Stefano. Oh, throat gone. Guru moment. And
this is a carve up this week.
Tough
this
week
is
for
a
you.
fucking carve up.
What was tougher this week or flu pod?
Oh, this week. Give me the worst day of flu pod versus the best day of this week. Fuck that.
Stefano just chugging along nicely. He only 40-odd last week, but you know what? I didn't sign him up to belt out 70s and 80s for me.
Yep.
I signed him there to do a job as my second front row forward, and if he can keep punching at 40s to 50s for a few more weeks while I prioritise other areas, I'll take it. So, yeah, good for big Stefo.
In saying that, Stefano, if you do want to knock out 70s and 80s,
wouldn't hate
we're
it.
not going to hold you back.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Go for it, big boy.
By the way, on flu week, if anyone has a cold and they're trying to get it sorted, go to Gilligan's and get yourself a fucking kryptonite. That'll put hairs on your chest and sort you out very quickly.
I think it just dissolves any disease out of your body, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Any virus, it just devours it.
It was insane. Hurt heaps.
Still sore.
All right. Sunday, Arvo from Shark Park. Got the Sharkies taking on the New Zealand Warriors. For the Sharks, Nicho's playing. Trindle on the bench, which is great to see. 2 halfbacks going head-to-head for that jersey. It's what you love to see, don't you, Timmy?
The good news there is, mate, that like when the Sharks are up by 50 with 20 to go, Nicho gets a spell and he'll only be on 240 at the time.
That'll be great.
Yeah,
unreal.
Trindle will slot straight in for him. They won't want to risk that calf.
For the New Zealand Warriors, no sign of Barnett yet. A little win for Jackson Ford there. Tamara Martin out. Tamara Martin out. Ronald Volkman comes in, who's been killing it in New South Wales Cup, so great to see. And Tohu Harris, the Terminator.
Oh.
He's been named. I'm not shocked because it's him.
Tell you what, all this talk of the RLPA and getting the CBA deal done, and the big part of it is get your surgeries done in the first 12 months because otherwise you won't get mended as an NRL player. He's going to have a big 12 months post-career, isn't he? He's going to be the world's sorest man.
He look like a mummy for 12 months.
Yeah, named again. He's a tough breed.
Absolute warrior. We said it the other day, but like, I had a mate that messaged me and was like, oh, he came back on, he's sweet. I was like, he could run on an ACL.
Yeah.
He literally could. He could have lost a leg and not noticed and run back out for the Warriors. Yeah. He's just an absolute maniac. All right. The 4 o'clock, no.
6:15 game.
6:15 game.
We'll be there, mate.
We will be there, yeah. We've got the Dogs taking on the Cowboys from Homebush. For Canterbury, Franklin Pele comes back in. How good. I might make $500 this weekend. And
give us something, big boy.
Anything. Give us anything. Guy, I'll tell you what, we are going to be out there for this one. If Big Frank the Tank crosses the line, I think you'll be able to hear us out there. That'll be unreal. We'll be letting him have it.
I'll streak the field just about if Franklin Pele does that.
What a treat for all the ladies there.
I know. So, 216K. He's got a 22 in his rolling average. Look out. Just jag a try.
Give us something.
Put a 50 in there, make 50K, and
give us an offload.
Yeah,
anything.
Offload.
Also, not Supercoach relevant, but I am so excited to see Josh Reynolds run out for Canterbury, and I'm now so stoked we're going to be at this game. I love Grubb and everything about him.
It's going to be so exciting, isn't it? If that doesn't put bums on seats, I don't know what will. Even if you didn't get in the field, just to be there and watch the great man sprinting up and down the sideline,
like a hyena. Yeah. He's the best Grubb.
Great.
All right, for the Cowboys, a couple of changes. Shibasaki, Tamu, Nanai, Taulagi out. Hiku comes in. Lukey comes back in. I'm really excited to see Hylam Lukey. He's an interesting one over the next few weeks.
Yeah, look, my tip is he plays these 2 weeks for Nanai, and then provided he plays all right, which I expect he will. We've got big raps on him, obviously, mate. We speak about him quite often, but I think he holds an edge spot over Cohen Hess in 2 weeks' time, doesn't he?
I think without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's definitely Supercoach relevant. Big watch on him.
Yep. The other one is Riley Price, of course, the son of Canterbury Bulldogs legend Steve Price, makes his debut. It's funny how this shit happens in rugby league, eh? 20 years later, Riley Price makes his debut against Canterbury, his old man's club. I love that. Great. Absolutely love it. Always happens in rugby league too. So, yeah, a bit to watch in that game, mate. Anything else on team list?
All good on those, mate.
All good. All right. What do you got for us? What do you got in your bag of tricks over there?
Deep dive?
Yep.
Deep dive this week is we're just talking about just trusting the process, mate. Give history the respect that it deserves. And it's just, I often go on about lessons that have been reinforced, sort of Supercoach values and things that we've stuck by year after year that are proven. And people off a 1-2 game sample size seem to forget about history and think that it's worthless. And let's use Khan Pereira and Will Warbrick as an example. Now, we get some shit wrong in this, mate. Such as, Nicho Hynes, don't buy him, great call. We get some shit right as well. And we said even before the season started that CT dubs like these blokes, they might start slow, but you've got to be patient. The tries will come and the money will come. Now, they've both had great weeks. Khan Pereira made 170K last week. He's now 370K and negative 70 break even. He's about to make a ton more cash. Obviously, there's Jojo Fafita, Ken Mamala around there, but regardless, he'll be staying in my team until he plays another game because, if he plays another 2 games, he could be 500K plus, and if he judges a few more tries, and make us 300K. Lots of people jump ship, mate, which is just absurd. Will Warbrick, not as good, but he made 80K last weekend. People jump shipped after a slow start to the season. Got his try last week, a couple of line breaks in there, negative 18 break even. He's going to make a ton more cash now. Yep. So it just frustrated me that so many people jumped ship on these blokes, despite, we've seen this time and time and time again with cheapy CT dubs. And the other one probably made around that same idea of trusting history is that we say that front row, two more. Ben Hunt, Adam Reynolds. 2 blokes that were really popular buys. Ben Hunt after his big round 1 performance. Adam Reynolds after a good couple of weeks. And there are sort of a few people saying, why didn't you talk about Adam Reynolds more last week? That they're just blokes who have never really been Supercoach relevant. If you can somehow catch they go on streaks where they'll have a few big scores in a row, but neither of them really average over 60 in their career. Hunt's come out and got 50 odd last week. It was about 20 the week before. Adam Reynolds, people jumped on last week and he scored 27. He's now got a break even of 63 and he made $7,000. It's like these two blokes in particular, the sample size has been a decade.
Yeah.
And they've only ever been good in patches. So, look, someone like Adam Reynolds, he's got a Tigers matchup this week. Could come out and go gangbusters this week and, fix that, break even and score well. But one there. And just the other one was around front rowers. We sat here last week. Do we go Tapani, Tohu, Tino Fasua Malawi, Payne Haas? They all scored pretty well the same, mate. There was about 5-10 points max between them all. We said last week that whichever way you went, there was no bad option. Obviously, unfortunately, Tohu got injured 45 minutes in, so that didn't help his cause. But at the same time, people who looked elsewhere and went for Nicho Hynes got their 180 because they chased the upside, the high ceiling player. Yeah. That's where moves were made, not in the front row. Now, I made a move to Joe Tapani because I needed a front rower because Ruben Cotter was out and I didn't want to play Franklin Pele or Davey Moali. That's different, but like stacking front row, that sort of thing, it's just not the play. So that was my lesson for the week.
I think trusting history is a really good rule to follow. I'll give you a cracking example. I've got a mate who's he's definitely in the top 8 best-looking blokes that I know. And over the years, he's unearthed guys like Ruben Cotter, Jermaine Hopgood, all these sort of guys. He gets one wrong on Nicho, and the village just comes with their pitchforks, Just trust history.
Trust history.
Trust fucking history, you fuckers. All right.
It's right at least 48% of the time.
Exactly right. That's all we need. All right, mate, you got some stats for us? I'm good. The first name's Nicho. Fucking fantastic. Just what I wanted to hear.
Yes. The first name on this list is Nicho. Now, where are my stats? So, yeah, I don't know why I did this to myself. I'm saying we'd stop.
Can we skip to the second name, please?
We'll do it quickly, but I thought it was worth mentioning for any non-data nerds out there that saw that Nicho scored 180 but didn't look at the exact numbers behind it. 4 try assists, 2 try contributions, 5 goals, 21 tackles, 3 offloads, 7 line break assists.
180s was unders, though.
How do you score 180?
It's insane.
7 line break assists. I was going nuts about Reece Walsh having 10 line assists in his 3 games this season. Nicho's got 7 in 1. Anyway, moving on. Zach Hosking, very popular buy this week. Yeah, this one will
got some movement. Don't worry about that.
I knew you might need a bit of a booster by this time in the show, so I threw him in for you.
Thank you.
We know he scored a try and looked the goods, but it was his base stats, essentially. 47 tackles, 12 runs, 2 line breaks to boot and a try, 2 offloads, 5 tackle breaks. Some serious Supercoach numbers there, mate. Yeah,
he's even when he was up at Brisbane, the base stats he gets through and everything is just off the charts with attacking upside. And he just feels like the sort of guy the Panthers are going to get around, I reckon.
Big bad Greg Marju, the boy. I think we were both tinkering with him. I certainly was for round 1. Didn't get named. First game back, and the talk was, imagine what he could do on that left edge outside KP. KP obviously not there on the weekend. Came out, played right edge. 24 runs, 12 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks.
Wow.
Oh.
And as long as KP is out, the right side, which is Jackson's strong side, it's the side that you want him on at the moment. So I don't have the balls to do it, but fuck, it's appealing.
Yeah, I said on last night's podcast, mate, that, so I won't go into it too much, but Greg Marju, just defensive deficiencies have been his issue his whole career. It's the reason why he hasn't played a ton more NRL games. They come up against Manly this weekend, who are a pretty red-hot attacking outfit. He's on the edge of Ruben Garrick, Josh Schuster, and where Tommy Turbo loves to play on the left. So I just don't go early. If he comes out and lets 4 tries in, I hope he does as a soon-to-be Ruben Garrick owner. But for Marju's sake, we all want to see him succeed in the NRL and be a mainstay of this night's team, don't we?
Yep.
But look, so if he comes out, holds his own, scores well again, he'll be on the radar next week. But I'm not one I'd be going early on.
I love this one. Tyrell Sloan, 78 in week 1. How good? That's now out of his rolling average, and you're dealing with a 53 and a 15.
15. So this was one that I needed to just inflate my own ego a little bit, mate, after a poor call. Tyrell Sloan, the first 2 weeks, sort of sitting there going, we hammered him a little bit in the preseason saying there's just too many low scores in him. He came out and went 78-53. People jumped on at 298k, 15 points against the Sharkies. Now has a break even of 37. He made his 48k. He had 7 runs.
Yeah, and this is who Tyrell Sloan is. He's a really good footballer. He's a horrible SuperCoach player. Let's be honest here.
So, yeah, you can hold him for one more week in the hope that the attacking stats do come. It's down in Wollongong. It's against the Dolphins, who have their own injuries. So hold him one more week, but if he stinks it up again, he's going to be a sell and you'll have made about 40, 50k.
Yeah, and you could,
And you've wasted 2 trades on him.
Yeah, and you're going to probably have to trade him soon or you're going to lose that 40, 50k that you've made. So, yeah, tough spot to be in. You can't get them all right, as we know this week. So if you're backed in Tyrell Sloan, just be prepared to trade very soon.
The lucky last one, and this is an exciting one. Britton Nicho started the season with a 79-point average, 98 on the weekend against the Dragons. That combo with Nicho Hynes is going to be so delightful.
It's funny, like I remember when Nicho started to hit his form last week, I had Britton in my draft team, and I remember just going, how good these two are going to link up all the time. They hardly did last year. So the guy in my comp that got Hynes, I remember talking to him on draft day, he goes, maybe Britton. I go, the combo wasn't really there last year. Fuck, I think it's evident that this year these two are going to be on.
It's
going to be a juicy stack.
Oh, boy. So, and again, the attacking stats may increase. He's never really been SuperCoach relevant, and you look at him and go, how good he is, how good a line runner he is, how good a try scorer he is, prolific. Averages the last 4 seasons of 62, 55, 57, 60. Among elite second rowers, he's been, at least 10 points off matching them.
Yep.
Most impressive to me this season is his base of 49 points per game. So the issue in prior has obviously been his base, his output, his runs, his tackles, etc. Nicho this season, a base of 49. Comparatively to the last 3 seasons, he had bases of 43, 40 and 42. It may sound like a small jump, but that's pretty significant. You're looking at close to 10 points extra. I mentioned that he was 10 points off being an elite second row forward in recent years. If, and it's a pretty small sample size of 4 games, he can keep that up, it could elevate him into keeper tier. So, look, I want to see him do it again for another couple of weeks with the base, but he's a goer.
And when it comes to like lifting your base by 6 points, it doesn't tend to be you're making 6 more tackles on the edge. It seems to be you're having more ball in your hand, you're getting more pill, and that's where points come.
Exactly. Yeah, great call, mate. So Nicho, I think he's always been a pretty good defender in terms of like he might make his 35, 40 tackles, but it's not been the runs, and you're spot on. You up your base with runs, with that comes tackle breaks and offloads and the odd attacking stat as well.
Yep, for sure.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see in a few weeks' time. I reckon people that go, like if you can find a way to have Hynes, Nicho in your side, and if you can have Cleary, Hoskins, if they land on the same edge as well, they could be 2 very juicy stacks there.
And that's the thing. With all these such vital buys to get, Nicho's already at 729k. He's made 80k already. Break even 41. If he comes out this week and scores well again, could be very hard to reach. Look, my gut feel still says he won't be a keeper.
Yep.
As I said before, mate, trust history. He hasn't been for the past 5 years. Why now? But the early indications are very good.
Yeah, he's one to definitely keep an eye on. For
He'd
sure.
be a fun dude to own.
He'd be unreal. I had him last year in draft, and he puts points together. And now that he is starting to link up with Nicho, could be dangerous.
Yep.
Do you remember in that first trial last year, the Sharkies played Canterbury, and I'd already drafted him?
Straight through.
Went straight through, and I went, oh my God. Didn't happen for another 25 weeks.
It was about 3 minutes into it from memory, and you were like, wow. And then I think there was about 4 passes in the same game where went behind him or hit him on the shoulder on the melon or something. And I was like, okay, we're good.
Yeah. Devastating. All right, mate, Sit V starts. Any more guys you want to mention stat-wise?
No, all good, mate.
All good? All right. Sit V starts this week. A lot of mine sort of picks itself, to be honest with you, with Fafita having a bye. Carm Piera, I wasn't going to play him anyway, but him having a bye, Sonny Luke being out. My bench sort of picks itself. I'll be going with Reece Walsh at fullback. We'll be starting Turbo and probably skippering him. Then I've got Bryce Cartwright, Wilton, And then I think I'm gonna have to play one of Isaiah Katoa or Adam Dewey. I'm leaning towards Dewey at the moment, to be honest with you.
Only leaning, 100%.
Not a bad matchup for Katoa, and if he's going to steer the ship, he's going to get plenty of touches and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm going to Dewey, but I can understand people tossing up the two of them. The other two that I'm leaving on the bench, I'm going to leave Will Warbrick, and Alamotti is going to be the other one that I'm going to leave this week, I think.
Yep. Yeah, I'm similar enough, mate. Reece Walsh, Josh Schuster, Jacob Preston, Reid Marnie on my bench.
Yep.
CT Dubs will be... this is so satisfying. Ruben Garrick, Val Holmes, Brian Toto, and Sunia Taruva. Oh,
mine's very similar. I've got Garrick, Holmes, Kiraz, Taruva.
Yeah, just no one there that I'm like, could get 7.
What's your plan with Kiraz? What are you thinking as a non-owner?
He's peaked in price for now. I think hoping for any significant price drops would be optimistic on what we've seen because he's just a beast.
Yep.
I can't wait to get him in, mate. But as it stands, it's Garrick this week as a part of the 4-week plan. Garrick this week. It'll be the bye next week. So look, Matt, for the Sharkies. So Nicho will be round 7.
Yeah.
So look, it's probably going to have to wait till round 8 at this stage, and that hurts me. But at the same time, I'm so happy with my CT dub now that I've got Garrick in. It's just rock solid. Taruva and Toto last week, it was like they did nothing. They had hardly an attacking stat. 44 and 43 in base, which is outstanding. They scored 50 and 57 and hardly did a thing. The tries we spoke about the genuine cheapies where the tries will come. The tries are going to come for these two as well.
Yeah. And
I'm just so happy with them. So, yeah, look, Kiraz, I'll try and work him in my plan in coming weeks, but when you get Ruben Garrick in at 770k, Nicho Hynes at 900, there's only so much money that can go around.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
Do you have him yet?
Agree. Kiraz?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I got him about 2 weeks ago, so I was pretty happy with how all that played out.
You got Garrick?
Yeah, brought Garrick this week. Yeah, so Kiraz, Garrick, Val Holmes, Taruva is going to be my CT dubs.
Yeah, very nice. So sitting, obviously Kant Pereira's on the bye. Alamotti sitting, Warbrick sitting Isaiah Katoa, obviously Pele and Moali.
Now, I guess the other thing just to mention as well, a lot of people have asked me, if you are keen to set up a rivalry with us too, so you can keep track of our sides, you go to our team names. Mine is the Blurst of Hynes, BLURST, might have to change that. Blurst of Hynes. If you're a Simpsons fan, you'll get the reference. Kuma Stallions.
I think I'm under the expert option there, mate.
Yeah, I've seen your head on there. Unbelievable. Fucking unbelievable. All right.
Just quickly, and there was a point mentioned last night that sort of caught my eye. Let's say you've got 18 guns this week. Maybe you don't own, say, David Fafita, or your team's just quite stacked, and you're wanting to wait on Nicho Hynes. So, sorry, more for next week. So who's got the bye in round 6? Do we know, mate? Off the top of the melon?
No.
I'll find it. But if you can play a really strong 17 next week without Nicho Hynes, you may be able to go early. There's a bit of a less of a risk, and it's something that I have looked at a little bit. Just one to keep in mind. So the bye next week is the Sharks.
Yeah, that's pretty poor from both of us.
Yeah.
They don't exist as far as I'm concerned.
They're dead
Not
to me.
this week. Yeah.
I love the Shy. I hate the Sharks. They're dead to me after last week. So, yeah. But that's the next week. So, you'd obviously have to sit Nicho Hynes if you own Teague Wilton, if you do own any Mulitalo or anyone like that, Jesse Ramian. So,
I had a mate last night that sent me a picture of Matt Moylan, who was down at a local park doing some work with training with kids and everything. He said, he's been so good. He's done this, he's done that. I felt like replying to him, any news on any scandals with Nicho Hynes? Any dirt you got there that I could dig up and hopefully get him put away?
Anything that will help our Supercoach
Anything that will help my Supercoach side, I am all for.
Moyes being a good dude does not help.
Does not help me at all. Love it. Doesn't help me. Now, before we do get into our questions for this week, Blue Wealth Property, our major sponsor, they've got a webinar tonight. It's the 29th of March. That's tonight, 7 p.m. An exclusive property showcase. So Tony and the team doing some very, very special things. There will be a link in the description here on the podcast and everything. 7 p.m. tonight, so you will have to be quick on a turnaround, but one that I'll definitely be tuning into, mate.
Yeah, for sure. And it's online. So
yeah, it's a webinar,
Yeah, so it's one of their big ones. And all the stuff we've sort of spoken about this season around Blue Wealth Property and what they have to offer and how, quite frankly, it's been like mind-blowing and sort of makes you double think, maybe I'm in a position to do this, invest in property, whatever it might be. So many different things they offer. It'll all be in one hit here. You will learn a lot. So it's a very easy tune in. So as I said, if you listen to this via the Playbook potty channels on the Rugby League Guru YouTube that holds the entire show, the link will be in there.
Yeah. And if you can't find it, send one of us a message and we'll send it through to you. Yeah. So 7 p.m. tonight, the Blue Wealth Property exclusive property showcase webinar. Webinar is a cool word, isn't it?
Yeah, one of the better words.
I like it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever have a reason to use it, but do you reckon we could have a SuperCoach webinar? Is this a SuperCoach webinar?
I don't know.
Don't hurt
Can
yourself.
You be a podcast and a webinar?
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Beers and Breakevens webinar.
Webinar. I like it.
Name.
It's a good run. 7 p.m. tonight. Link is in the description. Make sure you go check it out. 7 p.m. New South Wales time. As you can see, we all have one head here, as does Tony. So, speaking of Queensland, though, mate, and speaking of bloke in a bar, whilst we're at it, Cairns on the weekend. Holy dooly, we had a good time.
Yeah, last leg of the regional tour. That was an unreal month. Obviously, Armidale, Wagga, Rocky, and then finished up in Cairns. Great place.
It was how good was Gilligan's?
Yeah, certainly not sponsored by Tourism Cairns, but recommend.
Definitely recommend.
Good spot.
Unreal little spot. People were great. We handed out our 2 Beers and Breakevens hats to 2 absolute champions. Shout out to the boys from the South Coast Cricket Tour that caught up with us on Thursday night and backed it into Friday.
I'll kill you for that.
What did I say?
South Coast.
South Coast better anyway, but that's fine. Central Coast, sure. Had a good time. I think Corey Horsburgh was with him.
Yeah,
great fella.
Yeah, he was doing shirtless worms on the floor of the Gilligan's about 2 a.m.
I went home at the right time. Fills me with confidence. So shout out to the boys who had a really good time with you on Thursday night, having a couple of brewskis and for fruit tingles too.
Yeah.
Forgot about those. The kryptonites came in and just drowned them out, but the fruit tingles were a big day too.
The kryptonites drowned out 10 years of memories of my life, including the Thursday night.
We got entered into a beer pong competition on the Thursday night, and we took on 2 German backpackers who I've never seen 2 human beings take a beer pong tournament so seriously.
They were not there to have fun.
No way. Nope. They were drinking waters. They were stretching.
Yep.
One of them had a headband on. It was a lot.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, did not enjoy our banter, did they?
No, not at all, especially when I went the first 4 in a row. Didn't get anything after that.
It was a hot start.
It was a hot start.
Much like SuperCoach last week.
It was Nicho-like. All right, let's rip and tear into our questions. The first one comes from Charlie Thomas 4, Wilton to Hosking. We've sort of already said it. I think wait a week on Hosking.
Yeah, and I think...
What's Wilton doing wrong too?
How is Wilton your biggest issue in your side at the moment? Like, Teaguin's going great. Said pretty few attacking stats, the odd line break here and there. Basically 53 per game.
Yep.
Breakevens 34, so a bit more money to be made. Averaging 62. Probably not a keeper. I think he's probably 5 to 10 points short of being a keeper, but I do see us selling him for 600K in 3-4 weeks. If Teague Wilton's your biggest issue, team's going well. And as I said, happy to wait on Hosking. If Hosking is a downgrade from, say, you down people that are selling Cam Murray this week and you're doing it to free up cash to get Nicho Hynes, I get going early on it, but I just think you don't know what can happen with Hosking. Give him another week, his price isn't going to change.
And for those of you that are new to Beers and Breakevens, trust that we will make a big deal of the week when it's time to sell these guys. We will be letting you know. If you have to do it to make other things work, that's up to you. But don't just sell guys for the sake of it. We'll let you know when it's time for it.
And the other thing, Jackson Ford, because 2 weeks ago he had his concussion, or 2 games ago I should say, his break-evens at 22. There are still a lot of good 2RF buys. I want another week to see whether I go Hosking next week or if I go Jackson Ford.
Yeah.
So I don't think, barring injuries, I won't be able to get both of them. But I'm happy to forego one of them, go through whoever I think is the better buy next week.
And I think that's the reality of it too. You can't have them all. I've got people messaging me all the time that want all these guys. You can't have them all, and you shouldn't have them all.
People saying, why don't you have Kiraz? I'm like, it's not because I don't want him. I'm like, I don't have a salary cap of $40 million.
Yeah, and you don't have 12 spots at CTW.
Yeah,
exactly. It is what it is. Like you cannot get each and every one of them. Everyone has their own strategies and whatnot. Lachlan Stace, when do we start cashing in on rising cheapies? Obviously, I think there'd be a lot of new players, which I'm seeing a lot of this year, which is fantastic. When would you tell them to start cashing in on these cheapies?
Pretty much break even, mate.
Yep.
Depends what their break even's at. So, I mean, let's use a few examples. Break even, and we know, we spout often, so hopefully you know this, but break even works on a 3-round rolling average. So your score from two, let's use Alamotti as an example. Break even of -14. He scored 78 2 weeks ago against the Tigers and 41 against the Warriors. So if he scores, say, another 40 odd this week, he'll make good coin, about another 50k, but that break even will go from -14 to, let's say, 30 or 40, because he'll have 2 40s in his rolling average. At which case you'll go, all right, he may have peaked at 400k. So pretty much cashing in these cheapies revolves entirely around what that break even is. At the same time, another good example is Will Warbrick, who, granted, is very cheap, but he had a 14 in his rolling average 2 weeks ago against the Titans, and then 88 last week. So because he's got a -18 break even, next week, really, no matter what happens this week, because he's so cheap, because he's got the 88, it's still in his 3-game rolling average, he'll have more coin to make next week.
Yep.
So look at that, their break even, look at their matchups. Another 2 good examples are Hamiso Tabuai-Fido, who I'm flipping this week, and I don't know, Jermaine Asako, but their break evens, I believe, are 30 and 29 respectively. A good matchup against the Dragons. A good opportunity to move them on, but at that break even, you sort of go, all right, I'd expect them to score 40 or 50 this week. They might make a little bit more coin. If they do score another good one this week and get 7 or 8, it can inject another couple of rounds of price rises, but they're on the brink, I suppose, of being sells. So have a look at that break even and work it out from there, mate. I know the data, the SuperCoach Gold stuff is on supercoach.com.au. It's a paywall one. If you jump onto StatHQ, the data center at scplaybook.com.au, click on any player and we've got the break-evens there, and that's free to view. So
yeah, unreal. Next question comes from Leondo. Dropping Murray, you go forward to Schuster. Just on Murray, I had a giggle to myself. I saw a friend of the show, Adrianasaurus, put up a song the other day singing about Cam Murray, and it made me think back to that Simpsons episode where Marge is trying to keep up with the sex cauldron, and they're all singing, and she's like, "Fuck!" I'm sitting here going, "Do I make a song? What do I do here?" It's hard to compete with song. It's very hard to compete with.
Very hard.
Sex cauldron. One of the greats,
especially when there's it's been done. There's good content out there. There becomes a standard. It's like, I have to match/better this.
And I can't. I know I can't. Look, I'll just say on Cam Murray, and I understand the argument that Ado put out and a few other people are talking about. Look, he played 80 minutes on the weekend. He based 62 points. Yeah? I mean, it's not that much different to what he was doing last year. And, yeah, the last 2 weeks he based 47 and 42. But he played 60 and 65 minutes. Like, you give him those full minutes, which I think he will have most weeks, he's back into that, 60 base stat sort of category. So, and I also think there's a lot of chat around at the moment that all he's doing is passing the ball and being a link man. He was doing a lot of that last year as well. I'm not sure if a stack has changed here. It's something I'll be watching closely. I'm not telling you that Ado's wrong or whatever, but I've got a lot of people messaging me going, "Oh my God, he never takes sit-ups anymore. He doesn't." I don't know if I'm buying into it that heavily. What do you think?
Yeah, look, put it this way. His 53 base this year compared to his 50 base last year would suggest otherwise.
Yeah. And in half his game, he's played reduced minutes.
Yeah. So we know how good he's in attack. We saw in round 1, he came out firing, and I was like, oh my God, I need to get Cam Murray into my side. Hasn't had the attacking stats in the last 3 weeks. But at the same time, like, they've had a tough draw to start the season. So when easier games come around, even if, Bunnies do that to a few leads potentially and he plays 60, 65 minutes, I think he'll jag more attacking stats. He's already lost 82K. I don't know. You'd trade him now and then you're probably going to want him back in your team. Maybe with Origin coming up down the track, you'd hold off. But, look, if I was a Cam Murray owner, I'd be looking to hold. The argument, once again, I've said this a few times, but if there are so many good 2RF options, such as Hosking and Ford. So if you're doing that and then you can upgrade, say, Tanner Boyd to Nicho Hynes, I guess that's your argument.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get him in, to be honest.
The bloke had 19 runs on the weekend. I don't know. I do watch the spot closely. And look, I don't have him, so the boys have probably watched him closer than what I have. But, I'm just not sure if I'm buying into it too heavily at the moment. All right, our next one comes from Tom Jono. This is the absolute complete nutter fuckwit that just sent me a picture of the Nicho Hynes captain. So shout out to you, Tom Jono. You've done well. You got to me. I'm happy to admit that. That really rattled me.
Jono 1, Guru 0.
Nailed it. Okay, Vital Jr. Bolo. Worth bringing in Pizzette for the minus 82 break even. What are your thoughts?
I don't think so. And the reason being, Jerome Hughes back next week from suspension. Pizzette either drops to the bench or out of the team entirely. I would imagine probably out of the team entirely. And look, you can wait for him to get another game and get that next price rise, whenever it might be, because there's big money incoming. I said it before, you need to get Cleary and Hynes ASAP.
Yep.
And I think round 7 is, I shouldn't say the latest, but when Nicho comes back from that bye, I think you need to aim to have Nicho Hynes and Nathan Cleary in your halves. And Pizzette is only available at halfback, so yeah, I don't. You get one cash rise out of him. A bit like Braden Trindle owners this week, you'd probably be happy for him to play off the bench next week, because when he makes his cash this week, he'll still have a negative break even next week. He'd get, even albeit small, another price rise. Yep. Then you could flip him to, say, Nicho round 7. But I don't know. Like, it's one that if there's an injury, it can work out and he could start again next week and earn a ton. But if he does that, it's then another week or two you're going without either Nicho or Cleary. So what do you reckon?
Yeah, not for me.
Yeah.
No, I understand the appeal, but and then we've got another question later, or maybe someone else asked it. What's a trade worth as far as money? I'm not sure if it's going to be worth enough money for him.
If it's one trade, I always work off probably minimum $100,000.
Yeah.
So anything less, I wouldn't even entertain the idea. I'm probably wanting more 150K.
For a guy that you know isn't going to be helpful a week after you trade him in, 2 weeks after you trade him in, it's not for me.
So yeah, like if he punched out 40 this week, you'll earn about 100K. I'm not convinced he does punch out 40 this week against the Bunnies. I reckon the Bunnies maybe do a bit of a job on the Storm. It'll be a good game. Looking forward to it, but it'll certainly be tough.
Yep.
It's not the Tigers, that's for sure.
Correct.
So,
but they still weren't that impressive against.
So I don't know. If you get your 100K rise and then he gets dropped, then you flip him to Nicho a week later, there's your 100K rise for the trade. Just not for me, yeah.
Mr. RDS says, Toto to Garrick. What are your thoughts here, or would you want to move someone else to Garrick?
I think ideally someone else to Garrick. So I just try and get my strongest 25, 17 obviously, but I try and get rid of Deadwood as quick as possible. And by Deadwood, I mean blokes that aren't even sort of chances of being keepers or at least reliable plays. And I've gone sort of through a bit of planning and taking those cash rides. Hynesight, Tabuai, Fido to him this week, who haven't been rock solid, so I shouldn't be too harsh on him. But I do think he's got some low scores in him at times. So I've sort of flipped him rather than moving a gun like Toto. I've held on to Toto. I wouldn't go Toto to Garrick. I don't know. I'm very happy with him there. As I said, he's not really scoring many tries, not jagging a lot of attacking stats, and his base has been unreal. So I'll be sticking strong. A
question sort of from everyone: hold or sell Tanner? What's your instant reaction to that?
I assume a lot of people are going Nicho Hynes to him.
Yep.
So from Boyd to Nicho, so I think that's fine.
Yep.
Tanner, I'll just be holding for Got the bye this week. Hopefully can jab me a little bit more money during the bye. I won't be playing with my 17, barring a Cleary injury, God forbid. And then Tanner will be going to Nicho for me in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, fair shout. I've gone Tanner to Schuster this week, but it's in order to get my hands on.
Yeah, that's fine.
Realistically. Yep. Okay, Mars, this one comes from Joey Hart. Mars, Hugh, or Garrick, if you had to pick one of them. I think we're both on Team Garrick. There's a pod play there, though, isn't there?
There's a definite pod play, but who do you want? The left edge winger at the Manly Sea Eagles, outside Tommy Turbo and Schuster, or the right edge winger at the Knights? I'm going Garrick every day.
Yep, so am I. Archie O'Reilly, 6. Does Ford have the potential to be a 500k player? 56 base last week. I think with Ford, I still stand by what we've said the last few weeks, that you haven't seen them with their full side yet. I think the comments from the coach are fantastic. I think if you've got Jackson Ford, by all means, stick with him. But I am still a little bit worried about how it looks when Harris, Barnett, Jazz, everyone's on the field. But I don't own him, so I just wouldn't buy him for those reasons. And we've got so many other second-row forward options. If you are already an owner of Ford, you're stoked, I think.
Yeah. Certainly could be a 500k player, yeah. Why not? If he keeps playing his 80 minutes, when he's punching out 55, 60 in base, 500 could be 500k and then some, throwing a few attacking stats. So, yeah, and I just want to watch a game this week, but I don't know, he seems to have won over the coaching staff at the club there and looks to be an 80-minute player. So, I don't mind him.
Must be stoked to have a coaching staff that knows what a footballer looks like. Our next one comes from Phoenix Welsh. Thoughts on a third consecutive boost this week? What do you reckon?
Spy's doing it, and I've seen a lot of people out there doing it.
Yep.
I don't love it. I know the Spies do it, and this week he's getting Garrick and Nicho Hynes. You go, he's going all at attack mode. That's fine. I've used one. Look, my preference for the boosts is to use them around the Origin period, particularly after that. You know, after Origin 1, or the Origin bye week 1, I should say, when you're starting to make your moves to get numbers on deck for bye week 2.
Yeah.
And you've got a lot of players in there that were only in your team because they were playing the Origin week, and you want to get rid of them pretty quickly. So, look, I'll be looking to save my boost around then. If you do it and your team looks significantly better as a result and it makes cash and it gets you in, say, Nicho and Garrick, I get it, but 3 boosts in the first 5 rounds is a lot.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Just on Jackson Ford, before we move on, I actually just opened NRL.com and there was an article here from the Warriors with a quote from Webster. He's not an impact player. You can't play him like that. You've got to stick him out there like a horse and just let him work hard the whole time.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Good sign.
Very, very good sign there, 100%. Still not a guy I'll be buying this week, but I can understand if you do.
Yeah, I reckon I'll be...
I think we've both nailed our 2 RFs. If we screwed up anything, he's a great option to go to.
Yeah, so I've got Schuster there at the moment, then Tanner Boyd and Isaiah Katoa's my backup halves at the moment. So I've got the option to go Schuster down to one of those next week and bring in one of those 2.
Yep, fair shout. All right, there are our questions done and done. Captains this week, mate. Obviously, Nicho, he's a fantastic option for all you assholes out there. Not a great option for us as we don't have him. Issue. It's a problem. It's one that we're going to have to overcome eventually. Not this week is not the week though. Turbo taking on the Newcastle Knights from there at Mudgee, 3 p.m. Saturday. Perfect. I think we're both looking in this direction.
I am, and it's a very glass half full approach to it, mindset to it, but I'm hoping this is where we can pull back a few, mate.
Yeah, so am I. Between Garrick and them,
I'm watching this game with a lot of interest as a new Garrick owner, as a Tom Trebojevic captainer. Day game against the leaky Knights defence. Let's be fair, the Raiders didn't throw much at them last weekend. Garrick running at Marju. I'm hoping we can pull back a few and Tommy can go really big and Nicho can get hopefully sub 180. And
Marshall on that wing is the big thing for me.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he could put on a cricket score here.
Day game, Mudgee.
What the fuck was that?
World War III at Bloke headquarters.
Yeah, good. Okay, let's get the shit out of me. If it's not Turbo, if it's not Nicho, anyone else like just Cleary against your Raiders?
Cleary's my VC.
VC, yeah.
Yeah, I obviously got to go someone pretty early in the round for that one. So, yeah.
Yeah, right. I don't know what is going on in the walls here.
Building's about to collapse.
Yeah. Okay, well, that might about just do us. We might run for our lives.
Might have
to. Make sure you check out Blue Wealth Property. The link is in the description. They've got their property showcase tonight. It's a webinar, so you don't have to physically be there. It's a webinar. Make sure you sign up through our link. And if you do get in contact with Blue Wealth Property, tell them that myself and Timmy sent you there from Beers and Breakevens. Doing fantastic things, Blue Wealth Property, and we're very, very happy to be associated with them. They probably weren't stoked to be associated with us this week. I haven't actually spoken to Tony if he got Nicho or not, but dare I say, I reckon he would have backed us in. It's probably why I haven't heard from him.
If he got Nicho, he would have been into us.
That's
100%.
actually one. He probably would have got a Skyrider over Alexandria for us to let us know.
Yeah.
But yes, guys, Blue Wealth Property, make sure you reach out to them. Link is in the description. Their webinar, 7 o'clock tonight. Their showcase. So unreal stuff. Anything else, mate?
All good, mate.
Done and dusted. Thanks for joining us once again, legends. All the best for all of you out there outside of those that have Nicho Hynes.